starting tomorrow after lunch. Okay, makes sense? Any questions on that? All right, so today, right now, I want to go over this review, this packet. What this is going to allow you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to give you all the answers. We're going to go through this, but this is something that you can use next week on the test. Okay, it has all the formulas that you're going to need. Okay, we're going to go through some of the scenarios that you guys will struggle with because we've already covered them. And then I want to make sure you guys can actually do these things. All right, any questions on that? There was a huge disconnect that I saw, and I want to make sure that disconnect goes away and that you guys are more successful than you were previous. Okay, that's always my biggest challenge for you guys. And as we go forward, it's going to continue to be. All right, so number one on the board here, the slope formula. We learned it already once or twice. We'll learn it again. Same thing, right? It's m equals y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Right? You remember those are just 2 points. Now you remember number 4 on the test was one of the hardest questions you guys had to answer. Is the one with the graph. And almost, I think out of I got about 90 of you. I think only 3 people got it right. Okay, because it was such a difficult question because of the math behind it. And we'll go over that question tomorrow after lunch because I want to make sure you guys get the understanding behind what's being asked. Because I've shown you that, but you guys it's not falling into your brain. And the more I show you, I think the more beneficial it will be. Slope intercept, you guys know what this is. Y equals mx plus b. Just make sure you know m as your slope, and I think by now you guys have your b as your y-intercept, right? Everybody seems pretty comfortable with this. Now, whether or not you can graph based on that is yet to be determined, but that's kind of where we're at with that, okay? Then standard form is the capital AX plus BY equals C. Now, the problem is most of you went into this quiz without doing the homework. And so when you have A, B, and C as integers, you're like, what does that mean? Like, did you do the homework? I didn't know the answer to that. No. Why would you be prepared for a test, right? Instead, let's go in blind. Whee! Because we all like flying by the seat of our pants, right? Who doesn't love doing that? All right, so one thing you guys got to know, though, is that A, B, and C are whole numbers. Okay, which messed you guys up. When we had that one slope question, you guys basically started saying, oh my gosh, that's it, okay? I messed that up. The last thing is the point slope form, okay, where it's y minus y1 equals m, and then it was x minus x1. Now, here is the other thing. This was when it's a point and a slope. Okay, so m once again is your slope. Ladies, please be quiet back there. And then the other one is the point. So your point is, sorry, I wrote point wrong. Your point is x1 and y1. Okay, so I'll make that a big old comma. All right, so remember, and I'll show you on the notes, maybe hopefully you guys will understand. The reality is that most of you aren't writing it like this. So let me give you one example here. If my point, okay, is a -3, 4, this is how I want you guys to understand. It's always going to be y minus. And then in here would be where you put the point. And that would equal, and I'll say my m equals 7. Okay, so then I'd have 7. And then you guys need to understand it looks like this. So the problem is that when I plug in a -3 right here, what happens to this sign in front of it? It turns positive. The problem is that when you guys are writing it out, you're not thinking about like this, where it's always y minus. It's always x minus. So you know you can get rid of the parentheses now, and it would look like this. All right, that is the same thing as the thing above. But the problem is that there's a disconnect there and you're not getting that part. All right? Any questions on this? So please make sure as you guys go through this, all right, that you understand when we start, and I'll show you one in a second. When you do a point that's a negative, that it needs to go in kind of like this. So that's why it changes it to a what? Positive. Most of you are getting this wrong, and then you're missing everything else. And so you're failing. The problem is that this, you're going to see this kind of crap all year. You're going to see it all next year. You're going to see it all in Algebra 2. And it's getting even worse when you get to pre-calc or calculus or even college math. All right. Even when we get to, for me, when I teach my financial algebra kids, there's a formula that you have to use for interest to know how much credit card debt you're going to go into. So how much interest you pay on a loan that you take out. You have to understand there are negatives involved with that, and it changes it up. Okay. So please make sure you put the right numbers in. All right. Simple enough. When you guys flip it over, 1. Slopes. Start simple. All right. You guys should know that this number 1 here is, the slope is, please make sure you know it's the change in y over your change in what? Some of you missed that on that table where it says find the slope, and I gave you the table again, and you couldn't find the change in y. Or you guys know it as rise over run. It's all the same thing. But this one is what? Up 2 over what? Simple, 2/3. But understand what they all mean. That it's the change in y. So I'm going from a, what is that? 1, 2, 3, a -3 up to a -1. So it's the change from -3 to -1. That's a change of, you're going up 2. And then you're going to the right from 0 to 3. You're going right. Okay, so it's a change in x. All right, the number 2, what is that slope? It's 0. Okay. 0. That one's simple. 3. This is a same thing. Rise over run. Okay. So on here, what you guys need to know is you're going up or down. You're always reading this left to right. Okay, you always have to read a graph going this way, as in you're reading a book. Think of it as money whenever you guys see a stock market. That's always a negative slope. So no, you're going down how many? 5. And then you go over what? 1. So this would be -5, 1. Remember, rise is always either up or down, and the run is always to the right. 4, because that's going to be on the test. We are going to have some of that. Number 4, what is that slope? Yes. The slope is undefined on this one. Okay? When it's a vertical line, it is undefined because I can't define if something's falling straight down like a rock. Okay? All right. Slope formula. On the next ones, here's the formulas I want to give you. They're blank right now. Find the slope with these 2 points. So I'll give them all the points to you, and make sure as you guys go through this that you can write these down. Right? So the 2 points on number 1 are going to be -4, -1. And then I want you to do -2, -5. Next one's going to be 2, 1, 8, 9. Then I want you to go 9, -4, and then 1, -4. And then the last points here. And if you can't see it, I'll scroll back up in a bit. -7, 8, and then it would be -7 and 5. Okay? Those are the 2 points. Okay? Any questions on these? Now, I want you to try to do it yourself. Use the slope formula if you're using a pencil. using a pen. Take it easy with it. Make sure you get it right. Okay. But do this formula, ladies and gentlemen, the M. So for number 1, okay, I want you to plug these in. Try it yourself. Do a key. So it's, remember, it's M equals y2 minus y1, x2, x1. All right, and then you just plug in the values. Does it matter which one? Talked about this before? No. So I'll just do the first one off the gate. So it's -1, -4, and then remember, I always want you to write the minus minus because that's the same thing as this formula right here. Negative here, negative there. So when you write it, you put a negative and a negative. However, when you put this value in here, right here, what happens? That's when it changes the sign. Okay, if, ladies and gentlemen, you're struggling with that, please write it like this if you have to. Okay, and then understand what you're looking at. That, once again, it's 1 minus minus. So you can't have that. That's basically saying a negative is going to be multiplied into these parentheses. So that's why it's -1 plus 5. And that's why it's -4 plus 2. So you end up with 4 over -2, or your slope is a -2. See, you've got to make sure you guys understand this piece of this puzzle. You are not getting this piece of the puzzle. Okay, where it's always a minus minus, and then you're just like hoping and praying that you can understand this, but you've got to understand, as we deal with formulas, you cannot change them. All right, you guys will have that in biology, you'll have it in chemistry, especially chemistry. Woo, chemistry and them formulas. It's a little rough on some people. Try the next 2, please. Try 2 and 3. If you have a pencil, try it on your own. Just plug and play. See if you can get the values into it. What the hell? I want you to put the point when it's really the work. You just, by the way, this is the slope. Yeah. It's not that. It's 4 over 3. Never go down to a mixed number on a slope. Because can you graph that slope? 4 over 3. Yeah. 30. Yeah. So that's what you're shooting for. What? This is Maya. Hello. This is a worksheet that we're doing in class. I'll put it on Canvas later. Just to let you know. Sorry, she's not here. She just asked me a question. You'll see I'll put the papers on there. All right. Next, make sure you guys have it, right? So this is going to be 9 over 8 minus, okay, and then what points would you use? 1 and 2. So it'll be 8 over 6, which you should reduce to 4 over 3. That's your slope, okay? Not a mixed number, but that is your slope. No, we're doing 4 Maya probably on Wednesday or Thursday. Just to let you know. Okay, it's more review because everybody did so awesome on the test, and shoot me an email later to remind me about something. All right, so on here, ladies and gentlemen, the next one would be, what slope is this? Okay, you go -4, 9, and then it's a minus here. But what happens when you put the other point in? Turns it into a +4, and then that's over 1. And then you have what? 0 over 8. So what is that slope? 0. Okay, so this is a what type of line? It's horizontal. Okay, that's the horizontal line. All right, so you got to remember, because if you graph a picture of it, you go 9 over -4 down, 1 over -4 down. That's a horizontal line. Okay, and the other one's going to turn into what? This one's the exact opposite, where it'd be 8, -7. You do the minus again. And then you put it in the other point here, and it's going to end up being what? 5 plus 7. So this would be 3 over 0. So this is undefined. Okay, if you guys run into this, then you would stop because this is a vertical line. All right? Any questions on that? Okay, one other aspect of this, okay, is making sure as we're going through this that you guys are fully aware of how to do these two things. Okay, make sure you know what the difference of the slopes are, make sure you can fill in these values, and make sure you guys can actually figure these aspects out. All right, so let's do the next one real quick, and then this will be the last thing before lunch. This should be topic 4 about graphing slope-intercepts. Most of you should be able to do this. I always just want you to identify what the label is. So this is y equals -x plus 1. This one here is 2x minus 5y equals 20. And then the last one is going to be x plus 3y equals 0. Okay, so those are the 3 equations. Vivi, sorry if you can't see that one on the bottom. It's x plus 3y equals 0. Graph them. So, like this one's simple. I want you to just tell me what your m and your what is. What is your m and b, and graph it. And now, this is the beginning process of what I saw yesterday, that some of you could do this and some of you could not. Try it on your own, okay? If you're writing in pencil, there's enough ink here that you can make a mistake and still actually do the work. I'm fine with you making a mistake. Make sure you can actually graph it, though. That's the struggle, especially as we move forward.
Thank you.
Right. There's the actual notes. Did you ever get that? Okay. All right. So this one here, what is my slope? First one is what? -1, and my b is 1. So you know you go up to 1, and then your slope would be down 1 over 1. Okay. So that would be your line, and then you would draw it. Let me see if I can draw it straight-ish. Close enough. That was horrible. Real bad. Let me try to redo that line. All right, so there's one there. That's better, okay? The other one here you have to rewrite because we can't graph a standard form equation. So what would be your first step? Want to make it what? Y equals mx plus b. Doesn't look like that. So your first step is to do what? Move the 2x to the other side. Okay, remember, equal sign splits the equation in half. Okay, move it. Simplify it down. That'd be -5y equals -2x plus 20. So we're close to looking like that. Now to get it to y equals, the last step is to do what? Divide everything by -5. Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you get your answer. Y equals 2 over 5x minus 4. The goal by the end of this week is to be able to not just take an equation from standard form to slope intercept, but to, when we get back from lunch, is to do from point slope to slope intercept to standard. If you guys can do those mathematical things, you'll be fine the rest of the semester. If you do not, it will suck the rest of the semester. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then your slope is up 2 over 5. There's your line. And then the last one, ladies and gentlemen, is what? Same thing. Move the negative x over to here. 3y equals negative x. Divide both sides by 3. And your y is going to be a negative 1/3 x. Which means, where's my graph start?
0.
0. And I go down 1 over 3. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you guys have to be able to do right now. Okay, take a standard form, go to slope intercept, and graph it. Okay, any questions on that? The bell will ring in about 20 seconds or so. Finish this one up, and then we'll do the rest of these when we come back from lunch.